Okay, hello. I just want to check that the sound is not popping and clicking because it did that the other day and that was awful. And so I got rid of that one. I'm hoping to do this better. Different article today, so if you tuned in the other day, I think that was last weekend, you're going to see something different, obviously. Different article that I'm reviewing. Okay. Trying to get into this live video so I can listen to the sound, make sure it's not popping and clicking, making bad sounds. What was happening, I'm pretty sure, is okay. So I'm gonna leave that alone for now because it's weird listening to myself after I say something. This camera, I think, is going out or something. Maybe the cable could have been the USB port. I'm not really sure. And after I updated OBS, which is what I'm using to stream right now, it changed the configuration. Essentially, is what happened. So the audio is coming through the microphone I have, and then also the camera, because it has a microphone on it. And every time that the camera cut out, it would pop. And it did that a bunch. And I didn't realize it was popping. I thought that it was just cutting off the sound. And it was way worse than that. So I'm just trying to make sure that's not happening again. Doesn't seem like it is. Which is great. Okay, well, I will leave that alone. It looks like my little chat thing went away. It was here before. If I could just bring it back. Anyways, this is the article we're going to be reviewing. Maybe I'll just have to keep this chat up here in the meantime. I really want to get that view up. But if anyone is tuning in, because I'm totally blind if that's happening right now, I hope that you guys are having a great day. And as always, if you have questions or requests for stuff that you'd want me to do, all that jazz, just drop it in the chat, comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If I can just find, I should have looked this up before. I just kind of figured when I started streaming, it would come up, and I wouldn't have to review that. But see, that's poor systems administration. Poor systems administration, which is what we're talking about. So, but I mean, that's part of the journey for any sysadmin role, because things are always changing. Things are always evolving. Updates happen, whether it's for security, which is the biggest reason in my opinion, or for other things like a change of UI, or maybe some system is so deprecated it has no use anymore, and so it just isn't in the UI. Can't think of anything off the top of my head at current, but it happens. Man, if I could just remember where, what, this is a perfect example of, systems administration typically is server management, network management, but it can cover a broad spectrum of things, and obviously domain administration, which can kind of be its own thing. So OBS, how to show chat on stream, I think. Or maybe I want on live. Okay, I don't want to watch another person's video on it. I just want to, okay, menu, view, that makes sense. Scene list, stretch, full window, full screen interface, reset UI is not what I want to do. Maybe stats is what I want? No, I really don't want that. It does tell me some cool information there on the screen, but it is not what I'm looking for. I just want to know what the chat is doing, and that's pretty much it, because I don't want to have to look at another computer. I'm kind of surprised it's not just showing in here, but it's not. Okay, how do I add my chat to my stream? Maybe this is it. Unless they're talking about the chat showing up for you guys on the screen. I've seen that. I'm hoping that's not what this just means next article. Okay, yeah, that's not what I'm talking about at all. It's like a snap in. I don't want to spend the whole stream just doing this, and I apologize. You came here for systems administration, and you're seeing me troubleshoot. Okay, I see something that says chat. Okay, here we go. That's something. Okay, YouTube live control panel. I probably want to see that too. That's good. That's nice. Yeah, you guys don't need to see that. If you want to, I can show that to you. But I'm just gonna leave it like this, and I'm gonna put that on the side like that. I think I can put this one on this side here. Yep. Oh, it's okay. There we go. That's that's what I wanted. The YouTube live control panel isn't showing anything, which is kind of interesting. But oh, it wants me to select the stream as if it's like not. Oh, okay, it just took a sec. Here, I'm mumbling and you guys don't even know what I'm talking about. But okay, you just closed a dockable window. I don't care. I just wanted to put this in there and in the chat here. I know, silly. I thought that it would have saved it from the last one, but it didn't. But that does lead right into kind of what we're talking about here. Troubleshooting is a huge thing. You got to stay up to date. You have to be comfortable with kind of flying by the seat of your pants and just looking stuff up, talking to people, being humble, knowing that like, yeah, you're not gonna know everything. No one knows everything. No human knows everything. I don't hear any clicking, so that's good. Okay. It's the last time I'm going to check that. I'm just going to leave that alone now so I can stop being distracting in that way. Close my laptop. Leave it alone. So, we're going to get into this article in a sec. This is by Indeed.com. I thought it would be a good one. The last one that I did, I cannot remember the name. I guess I got to look at my history to see that. Why don't we go to history and see if you can see that article. Error. I don't even know what I was trying to visit then. It is the Indeed one that we're on right now. This might be the one that I looked at. And maybe this one. Let's open these up. I think I actually asked ChatGPT to answer that too, but we're not gonna do that right now. ChatGPT is a great tool. If you haven't tried messing around with it, I highly recommend that you do because it's very helpful. Now here's another example. Just in this moment, what I was doing is I was holding down the control key, and I should get. There's like a OBS plugin that'll show on the screen like what keys you're pressing. I should get that. I've seen some pretty slick readouts of that. But I'm holding control. This is on a Windows machine, obviously, and then just hitting tab. Every time I hit tab, it moves to the right on the web browser. And if I hold control and shift and tab, then it moves left, right? Anyway, so good way, it's good to know hotkeys if you're going to be in any technical role, just because it makes stuff faster. Workflow is super important. So understanding how to automate things, and just making yourself more efficient, very key. So let's read through this article by Indeed, and then I think we'll go back to this one, and maybe even this other article from WikiHow, and just review it. So, systems administrator skills, definition and examples. There's a nice video here, which maybe we'll watch together. Let's see. How's my sound? Where's my sound coming from? Okay, I could hear this alongside you guys. It might bleed into the mic, but I'm sure it would be fine. So, yeah. So the video description here, blah blah blah. Yeah, we're interested in that, right? Systems administration is a technical field involving the maintenance and configuration of a company's computer systems and network. There are many technical and soft skills you can develop to excel in this position and provide technical support, such as cloud computing and communication. Understanding the abilities to develop, including the strategies to improve them, may help enhance your job performance. I'm sure most of you are all familiar with what cloud computing is. And it's not necessary to know exactly what that is, but I think it's good just historically, and it gives you a better understanding of how stuff is working if you're, new to this. So, cloud computing. It is, and people have said this, and I think it's a good way to view it because it's factually true. The cloud is just servers that are elsewhere. They are connected through the internet. That is basically the key to what a cloud is. It is servers. Servers are computers that serve out to client computers. Like the computer I'm on is a client. YouTube is a bunch of servers, but we'll just call YouTube one server, even though it's not just one physical server, nor is it just one physical VM. I'm sure there's hundreds of host computers that have it could all be bare metal. I don't really know what their infrastructure is like, but there's a lot of servers that are standing up YouTube in many different capacities, not just not just the database of all the videos, but all the other services that they have that are integrated into that. So cloud computing, which honestly, YouTube is cloud computing. It's maybe not what people mean when they say this particular phrase, because this really has to do with stuff like IaaS, infrastructure as a service, all the way up to SaaS, SaaS, which is software as a service, things like Office 365. So IaaS, IaaS, whatever, that is, let's pull it up here in a sec. So that is basically having a, let's just get it from the horse's mouth. Infrastructure as a service is a cloud computing service model. Okay, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously, but yes. Which computing resources are supplied by a cloud service provider, a CSP, cloud service provider. And chat is going to chime in and give us some information. The vendors, the IaaS vendor provides the storage network and servers, and I want to kind of see what else they're saying here. But that's essentially what they're doing. They're giving you compute power. They're giving you storage. They're giving you the ability to put VMs to work, create VMs, and all that stuff. I'm curious to how they word this, though. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, it is. It's still not on the market. Huh. I don't know what that means. I think they're just saying that they're still not owned by some type of corporate thing. They do this every year. This one looks a little different. Maybe they're just trying a different marketing strategy. Anyways. Yeah, so your CSP will provide these cloud services. So Azure, Microsoft has Azure, which I think they're rebranding or have rebranded. And you have AWS, that's Amazon's cloud, that's their CSP, where they, I don't know how you really want to, you could say Amazon is the CSP and they use AWS to facilitate that. You have Google Cloud, Linode, lots of things like, lots of different services, lots of different CSPs, cloud service providers. And that's, this is what they do for IaaS, storage, network, and service. So I guess that's the best way to summarize that. And then virtualization. So to me, what this is saying is They provide databases and also just other unstructured data storage, networking. So you can have VLANs, you can have different networks that connect through their backbone. Like Azure has that. They have their own private networking backbone. It's not going through the internet. It's just going internally through their Azure network, which has a lot of benefits, obviously. Well, okay, maybe not obviously. I should stop saying that. But there's a lot of benefits to that private network that they offer. And I'm sure all cloud service providers do that. I just know that Azure does for sure. And then you can have all these kinds of servers. So that's going to be the specs, like the actual hardware, the CPU power, the RAM, GPU, all the different things that are hardware wise, and then virtualization. And okay, yeah. So it's talking about VMs, but there's other things that can be put on top of servers, the hardware part, to do virtualization, like I think they're called like functionless. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you can do that don't necessarily require this, but it's running on essentially this on servers. So, cloud computing, right? Which is important, and then and communication, which I think they don't mean like telecommunication. I'm not really sure. It's kind of ambiguous, but that's a good segue into being able to communicate to a team, depending on which way. It doesn't really matter, whether it's engineering or whether it's more customer facing. Having an ability to translate and communicate different information to those different groups, very important. If that's what they're talking about. If they're talking about networking, they just should have said networking. In this article, we discuss what a systems administrator is, 10 skills to develop, how to improve your abilities, examples of using the skills in the workplace, and how to highlight them during your job search. Okay, that's great. So what is a okay, could I say it the right way? Systems administrator, because I swear this one, yeah, they just kept calling it system administrator, which was kind of tripping me out. A systems administrator is a technology expert who oversees the maintenance of a company's network and connected devices. This information technology IT specialist ensures the network is operating correctly and helps staff when they're having issues with their connections. At a small company, a systems administrator may perform much of the work independently. At a large company, it may be a supervisory role with one or more technicians working under the systems administrator. And this is true. It is kind of a catch-all term in some ways, but it does have specific responsibilities as well. Server management, network management, although network management often is really overseen by a network engineer or team of network engineers and analysts. Usually, specialists in this position have a bachelor's degree in computer science, IT, or a related field. So I suppose that would be like maybe even cybersecurity. That's a degree you can get. Different kind of specialties of that. Maybe computer science. Okay, that's what it says right there. There's like a bunch of technical, IT technical, practical applications. I know there's associates. I'm sure there's bachelors for the same thing. And then, you could even, computer engineering. Or computer engineering, yeah, that too. Electrical engineering. It might sound kind of weird, but... Or mathematics. Like, those are related fields. Maybe kind of distant cousins, but they definitely relate. So... And it's really just about having, like, a good critical mindset. Critical thinking mindset. Students completing an undergraduate program to become a systems administrator may complete internships to gain relevant and hands-on experience in the industry. Additionally, they can learn about topics such as database management, so like SQL engineers, account management, that's really, like domain, like Active Directory or other LDAP based infrastructures, project management, for sure. I mean, like, you're going to be working on projects. You're going to be building stuff out. Life cycle, SDLC, service development life cycle, or software development life cycle. There's turnover. You got to update stuff. Sometimes there's like major updates to hardware, network hardware, or big software updates, and maybe even different ways of configuring stuff, as well as just deploying stuff for the first time use case. These are all project management situations. Systems analysis, so maybe looking at event logs, like on Windows event viewer, right? You can give you a lot of really great information. You can turn on and off stuff, and one thing that you might hear a lot about, especially in security, is this is what I normally look at here when I'm looking at stuff. This can tell you stuff about power outages and such. But Splunk is great for systems analysis. It can be used as a SIEM, so that's the SIEM. That's Security Information Event Monitoring. I don't think it's management. I think it's monitoring. I can look that up. But yeah, so this should populate a whole bunch of stuff. It's not. I think maybe is it loading? Something loading? Should be loading something right now. I mean, okay, I see the little loading icon. I think it's just having some trouble, possibly because I am I messed up making these VMs that I created for this SSH project. I might even demo this in a bit. I got sidetracked. I didn't finish it, and I need to go back and get that done. But yeah, so that, and then also because I have like zero room on here, which is terrible. And this is from this other project I had going for a while, which might be. Let's see, can I get into this now? No. Okay, so connection has not been restored. I just revived the. Let me try to get this into the screen here. Okay, what is going on here? Oh, that sucks. It is not playing nice. I'm just trying to. There. Come on. Okay. It is super not playing nice. But that's okay. Okay. Here we go. This is what I was trying to show you. So this is this. I just called the host hypervisor because why not? It is it has a hypervisor on it. That's its main function, and it is not having a good time. I will come back to this later when it's not freaking out on me. I'm gonna minimize that. Anyways, this live music server, that's the host name. This is where this file share comes from. And I was going to dig around in there and just show you trying to revive this server, which is probably just needs to be reimaged, to be honest. But yeah, so systems analysis, which I got way off base waiting for this to load. But as you can see, there's these different, this information. It tells you the source, and you can get other columns too, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, add or remove columns. I usually just use event ID to search stuff. I'll like Google what event ID I want. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but one thing that could be useful is if a machine seems to be doing weird stuff or like just powering off, and you think it might just be cutting off, or you don't know what it is. Like, this one is a Windows Update issue, but you can look and get an idea of what's happening. To the computer. One example is, I suspected that there was issues with a power outlet to some computer, and I confirmed that by looking in here, and there was a kernel power failure. I think that's what the source is, or something like that. Maybe it's kernel general, but it was a power failure. So it shut off, and it logged the fact that the reason it shut off is because it lost power. And that was helpful, and I was able to get someone from facilities to fix the issue. They looked at the outlet, they saw that there was a faulty power, and they fixed it. So, systems analysis is great for a lot of reasons. I mean, more commonly, you might monitor something like that to see if there is intrusion or misuse, misconfiguration of something. Those are often the common reasons to look at stuff like that. System recovery tools, of course. So, like in this case, right here, this guy trying to stand this back up. It looks like it's running fine, and it's not. It's not 100% right now. I'm gonna see if I can. So, yeah, it's having some issues. And hopefully this thing doesn't try to just go live. I don't think it even can. Okay, yeah, it's having lots of issues, and that's fine. But the main thing is I just wanted to demonstrate that the file share would come back online, most likely. Seems like it's not. I'll have to just address that. This doesn't even want to. I will get reminded of that later. Maybe we can turn that off. And oh, that's not where it is. This thing's super slow because I could only allocate so many resources to it. Now, if you don't know what it is that we're looking at right now, this is. I called it hypervisor. As I said, that's the hardware. That's the host name of the hardware, but this is Hyper-V. It is a hypervisor, it says it right there. But Hyper-V Manager, whatever. It allows you to make VMs, which this is a VM right here, one that I'm like kind of triaging right now, just on the fly. But like I was saying, I couldn't allocate a whole lot of resources because it's not really an actual server. This computer is some old HP from maybe 2010, 2005. We can look at the model here and see, get an idea. Okay. Okay, here it is. So it's a HP Compact 6200 Pro SFF. So standard form factor. It's it's a tower PC, but this is old. I don't know exactly how old, but let's find out. So 6200. I should probably put the title in there correctly. Pro SFF. And then we want to know the release date, don't we? So release date. It'll show. Okay, so it's not as old as I thought, but it's it's pretty old. That was over a decade ago at this point, right? But I'm using it to run this, and it's doing okay. It's chugging along. But this is something you might do as a systems administrator. You might interact with VMs, hypervisors. I think a lot more. Moving forward, we're going to see a lot more cloud-based work with this, but that has yet to fully manifest, of course. Now this is okay. Yeah, so this should be shared out. If I go to properties, this is the one. Like if we look here, where are we? Come on. Yeah, we'll just go to this piece so we can compare side by side. So live music server is the host name, and then users. I'm in there. I don't know if you can really see that. I gotta deactivate this because it's looking terrible. I think you guys can still hear me. Okay, good. Wow, that is not a great look on the camera, but I'll just keep it deactivated. Ooh. Are we freezing? We're freezing. We're gonna keep the camera off for a sec. It doesn't really matter. You guys don't need to see me. But as long as you can hear me, look at the security tab on here. If this doesn't want to lag. Normally I wouldn't look at it in this view. I just can't remember if I set RDP up on this, and so that's not even what I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at the sharing. Make sure it's actually shared out. It's just taking its sweet time. Yeah, it should be shared out. It's just not working for whatever reason. Maybe it's because it needs to be updated, or I mean, it's possible I just need to live music server. Let's just try. Can we? No. Okay. Let's try users. Can we do that? No, doesn't like that. I mean, I see this path here that I had gone to before, but anyways, this is part of, you have an issue, and then you triage it, which I might come back to this, and we can look at why that's having issues. It's possible that if I just unshare and reshare it, it would fix it. But there could be so many other things that are wrong with it at this point. And then another part, another thing, network engineering and design, which is kind of like network architecture, systems architecture, which is design. I mean, you're building out the higher level of what a system's going to be like, the environment of it, the infrastructure that builds that out, making those decisions, those design decisions, and then business ethics, which is also important. But honestly, as a systems administrator, you're really more focused on administering the system, to be honest. But there's nothing wrong with having a mind towards, oh man. So that is probably, I might just have to unplug the camera because it's having so much trouble, and it's giving us trouble, and that's annoying. I just need to get a new camera, or like a new cable for the camera. I'll try plugging in one more time. I'm gonna reactivate it. Actually, it wasn't even activated. Reactivate it. Okay. I can see it like sort of working. We'll go with it. We'll see if it'll keep working. My cat has joined me, one of my cats. This is Nimue. You can't even see her. Say hi, Nimue. Yeah, but business ethics are important, of course, in any situation. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a systems administrator or whatever your role is. Ethics are important. I don't know exactly why they put that in there. I mean, I feel like that's the ethical stuff. Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. So, cloud computing. Number one, cloud computing platforms. Cloud technology allows users to access information on a computer or network remotely. Yes, as we discussed earlier, staff can collaborate from different locations, access user accounts and files remotely, and create backups of crucial documents. When a company uses a cloud network, a systems administrator knows how to access it and troubleshoot challenges with the computer network while keeping it functioning for remote teams to maintain network access. Now, I think they might sort of be conflating a few different things. Although I could be wrong, there could be some information that I just don't have. There's only so much time in the day. But what I'm seeing here is not just cloud computing, although you could kind of lump all this stuff into cloud computing. Okay, it went away again. It doesn't matter. So, for instance, when I think of cloud computing, I think of like something in the cloud. So a SaaS like Office 365 or OneNote or like I said, YouTube. Sorry, I'm trying to sign into this thing really quick. Off screen that you can totally see. And then this other stuff that they're talking about here with the cloud network and such, I more think of that as, like, yes, there's a cloud network. And so, like we were saying with Azure, they have their own private networks that don't go through the internet. Like, the only part that goes through the internet is your connection to them. But then all the stuff that happens between machines that are in Azure until they leave Azure are all happening internally within the business, within the cloud service provider, which is, like I said, one of the benefits of that, the cloud network. So what they're referring to it, if I'm getting what they're saying correctly, I'm understanding it. And a systems administrator knows how to access and troubleshoot it. But then this part, I mean, I suppose maybe they're just saying I got tripped up on what they were saying. I was thinking they were talking about a VPN, essentially, like keeping the access to, and I guess that's kind of on me for thinking in a legacy way on-prem, because VPNs were this kind of in-between while we were getting more hybrid. I mean, they're still around, obviously, but it's a way to get access to on-prem resources. I can't really think of another use case for it. Yes, you can sort of hide your traffic and you can pretend like you're in a different country with VPNs, but I mean, enterprise-wise, that's not, I mean, it's security, yes, but what they're using it for is on-prem access to on-prem resources. That is what the VPN is for. So, again, I apologize. When I was reading this at first, this part, functioning for remote teams, I was thinking of a VPN, but that's not what they're saying. They're just saying, as a sysadmin, you're going to understand the cloud network, that internal private network that the Azure AWS is providing, and you're going to be able to troubleshoot it and fix whatever challenges, maybe not even just break, fix, troubleshoot, but also looking to the future, some new project, expanding, giving more resources, all of that. Super important to know as a sysadmin. And again, it is kind of a catch-all term, and there are specific like cloud engineer or like I don't know. There's various names. Sysadmin, I think, is a fine way to talk about it though, just because you're administrating systems, regardless of if it is on-prem or not. It's all systems administration at the end of the day. So if you want to call it cloud management or this or that, like, yeah, you're administrating systems. So cloud computing, great to know about, great to get your hands on. And there are a lot of free, or like, let's look at the Azure listing for Azure portal cost. And AWS has it too. Where's the free? I bet if I just type free after this, free trial. Okay, that's cost free. I'll delete the word cost so it's less confusing. There. Okay, so there's. Okay, so some of them, like some of the offerings are like for a year long. Like, okay, here you go, free for 12 months. Like that's a pretty good deal. Look at that. I don't know if you have to put your credit card information. I'm sure you can just pull out just like you would with any other trial, but a good way to get some experience, I say, as I haven't actually done this. Like I've done some of this stuff for my job, but I haven't taken advantage of these free trials, which they've been offering for as long as I've been seeing this for the past few years. I'm sure they've probably been offering it since the inception of it, like a decade or so ago. But you can make VMs. You can make Azure VMs for free. That's pretty amazing. I don't know if they like nickel and dime you inside. I don't think they do. You can do it with Linux. I don't really know why those are kind of the two main things you would do. You wouldn't really do a Mac OS, but it ties right into cloud computing. So like, there's free resources for this, but again, you can learn a lot of this cloud stuff without. I guess the correlation I'm trying to make is they are just servers somewhere else. You've probably heard that, and yes, there are a lot of differences, and they are different. But the basic concepts you can find. Like I bought this computer here that I'm RDP'd into, that I'm remote desktoped into, was only like, I think $50 to $70. I even got a free monitor out of it. Like it's an old ass monitor, but still, and I'm getting a lot of use out of this. I didn't pay for a license. Obviously, you can see it's not activated, but I don't need it for that. It's just for doing these test cases, like this SEAM project I need to finish, and spinning up AD is part of that, right? And then I can totally re-image the whole hardware, or I can leave it up and running for however long I want until it just breaks or whatever, and put as many VMs as it'll let have on there. Obviously, something like this old 6200, this compact 6200 HP is not going to have a lot of capabilities, but enough to learn some stuff, experiment around. It's not that difficult. And then with that, where did my tab go? Okay, so you don't even need to go here, but then practicing on-prem with free, like if you have a uncle or an aunt or brother, sister, whatever, who has old hardware they'll throw away, just ask them if they'll give it to you. Like I got some from my cousin. I spun up some pretty cool stuff. Like I have a file share I've been using for a while that I used and I made with Ubuntu. Like that's what this is. This storage thing, that's Ubuntu. It was free. Like all of it's free. I apologize. I'm gonna try to. Okay, so that's still frozen. I need to just get a new camera. I think it could also be that my computer is just not. Okay, let's see if we can we get back to. Okay, it's working. It's working again. We'll see if that lasts or not. Anyways, so try on-prem. When I'm saying on-prem, that just means on-premises. Okay, that's just not gonna work. Whatever. I don't really care. You guys, again, you don't need to see me. But then you can take those skills to here, and you can spin up a SQL database. I think you can get the evaluation version of it. I'll go over that at some point. But you can get the evaluation version of the on-prem on a server, because this is. Let's see. Go back to MS Info, and you can see how old this computer is. 2013. I looked it up. Okay, so this isn't even the server image, but you can do that for free. It's just that I think it starts shutting itself down once you reach your activation limit. But you can still do it and just kind of fuck around with it. But again, Hyper-V comes with Windows 10 Pro, right? And you can still set up a little server environment, quote unquote. It's not a true server, but it is doing the purpose of a server. And then you can get this cloud experience in a way. Like, yeah, it's not actually going onto a portal, but it's about managing the system. That the system's administration is about managing a system. And you can get that experience for free before you even do this 12-month trial or this one. Okay, look at this. This is always free. And then you have this 12-month free, and then these other ones are free. So that's pretty cool. You get a lot of free services always, and then these are for 12 months, which is it's a whole year. That's pretty damn good. I don't know how often those change, but I've seen this whole 12-month thing stay up for a while. So yeah, cloud computing important, but realizing what it really is can help you feel brave enough to just do on-prem stuff and then take those skills to the cloud with confidence. Number 2, digital security and cybersecurity. So yes, that is important, obviously, especially in larger organizations. This is going to be its own thing, but it's important to understand that regardless, even if you never even want to get into security at all. I really like cybersecurity. I want to eventually get into it myself. And so I'm always looking for new ways to get more knowledge on here. So systems administrator to that good path. But even if you're not interested in it, very important to know. So a systems, I'm just going to read this again. Systems administrator's experience allows them to maintain a company's network security and prevent outsiders from accessing the network, including the files it contains or devices connected to it. In addition to understanding general digital security best practices, demonstrating knowledge of the company's primary technology elements can further help them monitor and improve digital security. Yes. I mean, what are they saying here? In addition to demonstrating knowledge of the... Maybe I'm just like misunderstanding how they're phrasing this. Demonstrating knowledge of the company's primary technological elements can further help them monitor and improve. This seems like a nonsense. Demonstrating the knowledge of the company's primary technological elements. Like demonstrating to who? I guess I'm kind of confused about that. Anyways, it is true that using the knowledge, maybe they just had a brain fart. I mean, using the knowledge of, yeah, it seems like nonsense to me right there, this whole thing. I'm not trying to pick this apart. Anyways, in addition to understanding general digital security best practices, it is good to implement them, to monitor stuff. Yeah, this sentence is like driving me up the wall. Help me if I'm like not understanding this and it's like super obvious. But anyways, yeah, security is important to know regardless if you want to get into cybersecurity or not. Generally, digital security can provide a company's online presence, can protect a company's online presence and data, which is why understanding cybersecurity in this role is also valuable. Cybersecurity can protect an entire network, including an organization's computer systems, data storage, and other digital elements from those without authorized access. So, from a systems admin perspective, I would kind of say you just want, like it says somewhere here, best practices. Like you want to make sure that if something comes default, that you look at those default settings and make sure that they're secure, because they're not always going to be. Sometimes stuff ships with a password of no password, or a password of password, or password of admin. And it's usually, you can find it online. So, go look at it, reconfigure it, at least the password, right? And then also there's other things. So there's firewalls, and firewalls are not only a physical piece of hardware like pfSense and stuff like that, but there's the software level. So is it wf.msc? MSC? Yeah, okay. Now, this is just like the more advanced, what do they call it? Yeah, Windows, the advanced security, which is the advanced settings. It's just more granular. But this is a firewall. This is a software firewall. And so you can see all the things that are allowed and not allowed. A lot of it's allowed, but so block. This is DaVinci, which I should just remove these rules since I couldn't even get the thing to work on this computer. I think the GPU or something just wasn't good enough, which is kind of surprised. But so this is something that's good to get familiar with, these rules. And this is for Windows, but if you're on Linux, maybe something like what is it called? It's a simple firewall or easy firewall, uncomplicated firewall, UFW. UFW for Linux. I don't know if it's probably not all the flavors, all the distributions of Linux, but at least on Ubuntu and most of the ones I've used, I think even Raspberry Pi, Raspbian or whatever it's now called, I'm pretty sure it uses UFW, uncomplicated firewall, which is, it's great. It's essentially like this. I think there's probably a graphical user interface version of it, but it's good. That kind of brings us to user interfaces versus command line interfaces. I think it's great to understand what the user interface the graphical user interface looks like and how you can affect it with the command line and vice versa, so you understand what those commands are doing in a visual way that's kind of easy to understand, like this graphical user interface, but then be able to script things out or maybe get them done quicker without having to open up a whole UI, right? Many different advantages, but being fluid in that you don't have to memorize all the commands, or any really. It's just being comfortable with using them, opening up a command prompt, opening up PowerShell or Bash if you're on Linux, Terminal if you're on Mac OS. All those things important to just kind of pay attention to, but like be comfortable with like what the PowerShell command for, like here we'll look it up. It's like get net firewall rules, get net firewall rule. Okay, so we'll just get, I bet ping is just not enabled because by default I'm pretty sure it's disabled. And let me see here. So now this is systems administration. This is being a systems admin, is knowing where the good documentation is. This is the official, this is their domain. This is the TLD, top level domain. This is their domain, and this is the subdomain of Microsoft learn.microsoft.com. And I know this is legit. Now, there is ways to spoof this other than just like DNS poisoning man in the middle stuff. But typo squatting is one of them, and I suppose I could really try to. I guess what I could do if I was super paranoid, and I didn't want to figure out a way to script this, is I could open up Notepad. I could look at this, type it in plain text, so I know that it's not like Cyrillic A for learn, right, or whatever else like Cyrillic O's, because I've seen that. I think that I'm pretty sure Edge catches that. I think I read somewhere that it does catch that now. They patched that up, but anyways. Knowing where the official documentation is, getting comfortable reading through it, and reading through it quickly, and nothing wrong with going to Stack Overflow. I go there all the time, and now that ChatGPT is like a thing, I use ChatGPT to just ask it stuff, because sometimes I don't want to look through a bunch of forums, or maybe I have and I'm still stuck. And sometimes it'll just point me back to the same forums, and I'm like, well, fuck, like, okay, great, that doesn't help me, but I'm glad that not only am I, but also ChatGPT kind of stumped on that one. So, okay, I think it's like display name. So get firewall rule, display name. We'll go over here, we'll display name. Okay, yeah, display group. So if I hit tab, it'll autocomplete and it'll go back and forth. And then I put a string in, and the string I want to check, so we're going to look at ping, and it says ICMP somewhere. I think it's in the title. Let's see. Or is it, I think maybe it's network discovery is what ICMP is in. ICMP, I can't remember what it stands for, but it is the protocol that when you send a command, a ping, they literally, we'll just do it in command prompt. We'll ping google.com. Let's actually do it in something that's not IPv6. So I'm going to force it to be IPv4 with a /4 flag. And, I'm pinging this. DNS resolves it. My DNS probably knows Google. Probably comes pre with it, but and so then it ends up pinging this IP address, this IPv4. I don't know if it pings both the IPv4 and the IPv6, or maybe I forced it to do IPv4, so it's pinging it. That's another reading, but this is ICMP. This is what's happening. The protocol. Okay, fuck it. Let's just look up what ICMP stands for. ICMP. Okay, Internet Control Message Protocol, but that. It's very simple. It sends a little bit of data. What is this? 32 bits, maybe? That's what that's saying there. And it lets you know that it's up and it's able to send a packet back. So I want to check. Like I said, good to know or good to know when you're looking at the UI, the graphical user interface, in this case, this firewall, this software level firewall. So it's not hardware level firewall. It's not a pfSense, but it's still, yeah, it's not exactly the same, but it's an important part, and you might be configuring it on endpoints like this client. And maybe you have to do it on a bunch, so it's good to know how to script it. Or maybe you just don't want to open up the UI and you just want to run a command. Either way, being fluid between the two is good. So let's do this together. I'm pretty sure network discovery is ICMP, but I don't remember. I don't know if I'm doing this command right. Okay, so so access is denied. Okay, so here's some more systems administration, right? I didn't open this as admin, so we're gonna do PowerShell again. I'm gonna Control Shift Enter. Yes, I don't have to type in a password because I am in the administrator group. My user is. Matter of fact, let's open that up. So computer management. We're gonna go into local users and groups. We'll go into groups. We'll go into administrator, and you can see that's my username. How do I know that? I mean, there's a few different ways. I like doing who am I, but you can even see it before I say it. It's in the path right here. I'm in that directory when I open it up, which is a pretty good indicator of that being the user. But if I do who am I am this, and it's not joined to a domain, it's local, and I'm going to pause this for a sec. I will be right back. I apologize, but I will be back in a moment. Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. Good to know. Good to be fluid with what you're doing. And oh yeah, and I left off on saying, so I know that I'm in the administrator group because that's my username. How do I know that I'm logged in as that person? I can run this command, who am I? Or I can just see what I land in, what directory I land in, and it's the user directory. And so here's another example of like knowing where you're at in the command prompt, and oh my god, in the command prompt, and also, you know what? Let's just paste it. There. And in the user interface, right? So this is this, and this is where I'm landing when I open up the command prompt. It's defaulted. This is just how it's defaulted for Windows and Linux, and really every computer I've ever used. They will default you into the user that you're currently logged into that folder. The user folder contains, we can look at what the user folder contains, and you can see side by side. Here it is. So you have your, okay, these two right here. This is current directory. That's what the dot means. And then this is the parent directory. Am I getting that right? Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm getting that right. So this would be the users folder. Why they're actually directories in there, I don't know. I think it must have something to do with the way that the operating system works. I think that I see that in Linux. I think that I see that in Unix or Mac OS, whatever. But then you can see these other folders here. And Nimue is trying to get into my business here. Nimue is my cat. See, am I still frozen? I am still frozen. This thing is just not having its best day. I wonder what happens if I put this back up here onto this and then reactivate it. Am I good? Okay? Well, okay. But you can see all these folders, 3D objects right there, 3D objects, and it's in the same order, at least in this case. And that's how that works. Let's back to what we're doing, which is looking at this and then back to reading the article. But here's admin, right? That's my user. I know that I'm in the administrators group. That's why when I ran this as admin, I didn't have to type in a password because I'm already in that group, so I can just hit yes. I do want to elevate to administrator, and now I should be able to run this, and it should spit out probably all of these. Let's see if I got this command right. So I did not at all. Let's see if we can find some examples of this. I saw this on a Stack Overflow the other day, and that's how I did this in the first place. Maybe okay. You know what? Why don't we look at it's group name, display name. No, it should be display name. But we could try display group and see if network discovery works, or maybe that's what I was doing the other time. So let's look at the specific. Sometimes being an admin means that you're just experimenting a little bit in a safe way to figure stuff out. Okay, so there we go. That spit out the information. But I was more just trying to see all of these. But this is cool. So this gives us the same information. Maybe we'll do a side by side. Here, I'm gonna clear this out. I'm gonna run that command again. It's gonna spit that information out. I'm gonna do this side. Come on, give me the side by side that I want to see. That's definitely not what I wanted to see. Okay, it's being weird. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. How are we gonna compare these? So here's the one that I typed in. We'll just go line by line as best as we can. I mean, not all these columns I think are shown anyways. But okay, here's the word private. Profile, private, right here. So here I'm gonna highlight it so you know what I'm talking about. But right there, private. So that looks the same, and it is the same. I mean, that's the readout that I'm getting. You can do so much with this, and I'm pretty sure you can get pretty granular. I think you can take each of these rows out individually and probably look at, this is like at least the way it looks like, is a dictionary to me. So you have your key and your value. key is name, value is this, hoo-ha. Now, this is kind of programming language that I'm talking, and it's doing it again. Okay. This is kind of programming language that I'm saying it, like, I think you can do dictionaries with PowerShell too. But Python, Java, JavaScript, I'm sure most object-oriented programming languages have dictionaries. A dictionary is just a key and a value pair, and it's an array. Now, if you're into coding or stuff like that, or even scripting, you know what this is. You should. If not, it's fine. I mean, you can ask me in the chat or whatever. But a dictionary is basically an array that has two values instead of one, and they're tied to each other. The key value pair, commonly referred to. So this is, looking at those things. This is one aspect to security. In a way, there's so many different things. And the other example we were actually just looking at. So computer management. This is local. Here's these users. So I mean, this is by default. It's not enabled, as well as these other ones. Those are user accounts. But this is part of security. I mean, least privilege, right? That's something you might have heard of. Least privilege is a rule that says, like, give the least amount of privilege, the least amount of power, administrative rights, really whatever you want to call it, to the people who, only give power to people who need it. That kind of sounds wrong. Let me see if I can explain that better. So, like, certain files and folders might need to only be accessed by certain people. So just keep it, like this. Don't let everyone access it. So you might have certain groups that can have access to it, like administrators. That's the local administrators. That's going to by default have access to everything. Same with system. And then this user created it. That's the user I'm logged into, and so they'll by default have full control, just like all these other ones. You can see that there. And these can be edited by anyone who has the proper elevation or privileges. So least privilege is the act of ensuring that data can only be seen, so read, executed, that's like ran, like a program, and written or write, which means like actually overwriting or editing the data. That's another aspect to security. So networking, this is part of networking, and then data security. Anyway, so we'll back out of this. And we'll go back to the article that we were reading. We finished up this part. Hardware. Very important. So as a systems administrator, it's essential to know how to manage various technologies, various technological hardware at a company. I don't know if I like the way that's worded, but maybe I'm just being too picky. And does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. Does not. Let me just readjust this one more time in a sad attempt to get this camera to work, and probably it won't work, and I'll just have to accept that. Yeah, it's not. I think it's because one of the things that I'm doing for this is I am using a like, you can see the blurring. I got this filter. It's nice, but I don't know if my computer can really handle it. Anyways, so this includes the hardware required to manage and maintain the company's network and the individual computers and devices staff use to interact with the network. A systems administrator puts protocols in place to minimize the risk of error within the hardware the company uses, and for overseeing the repair of any errors occurring. Yeah. So that might be some type of monitoring agent. That could be turning off stuff that you don't need, minimizing the risk, automating certain functions, One of which really simply could just be if it's on a domain, having a group policy that automatically installs updates and then reboots the system so it stays up to date. But then also to counter that, you don't always want to take every update. Like here's an example. Last week, so on the 14th there was an update that came out, and it bricked computers I was working with. Okay, not bricked them, but it made it so that RDP, I don't know if the protocol didn't work. The protocol was connecting, remote desktop protocol, but the remote desktop connection was just giving me a black screen on the first attempt. If I exited the session and then tried it again, it started working. In most cases, it was kind of a touch and go. The first week that I noticed it, the second week it was a little easier to manage. But if they were joined to the domain, I could have had the granularity to exclude this KB because I knew the KB that was causing the issue, but I didn't really have a way to do anything about it besides uninstalling it. And then either I could just stop updates altogether, which is not really an option, or I could just hope that they patch it. Luckily, they did patch it this week, it seems, because I don't see it anymore, and RDP is now working again, so that's great. But having a WSUS server, maybe that's a weird way to say it, a WSUS, which is a Windows Services Update, Windows Systems Update Service. It doesn't really matter what it stands for. It's an updates server that handles updates. Okay, Windows Server Update Services. It's kind of an interesting way to say it, but like it's saying here, it's basically it's a server that allows you to dictate what updates you're going to push through to your clients, and you can also, without even using group policy, pick what computers are going to get what updates. So maybe there's a specific hardware that is going to brick with a certain update, so you just exclude it from that list. Or maybe some just don't need a certain kind of patching and you only want this other kind of patching, like maybe they just don't need driver updates, or they only need driver updates and please don't do the security updates, even though it might be dangerous because whatever. I mean, most likely you're going to want to keep doing the security updates. But the point is, it gives you control over the updates that are being pushed instead of just taking all of them based on the system requirements. And that was something that I was dealing with. So that's another example of, can that go away? Okay. Another example of putting protocols in place to minimize the risk of error, which is having a WSUS server, WSUS server, and having some type of monitoring, like Splunk or IDS. So that's intrusion detection service, I think. IDS and IPS. IPS is intrusion prevention system. I think system is what the S is for. Service system. I mean, it's doing a task. It's preventing or it's detecting intrusions into a network, into a system. But these are all examples of that. I don't know exactly why they put that with hardware. I could kind of see it, but I would add to this understanding the constraints of the hardware, how you're hooking the hardware into the overall system, so the network and then the other things that it's communicating with. Just understanding those limits and understanding how they can be, put together to the best effort, the least amount of power, the least amount of cost, with the most amount of output, positive output, of course. So network systems. An effective systems administrator possesses skills in all elements of network management. This includes the physical act of wiring servers and computers and performing routine diagnostic assessments. This expert can make necessary repairs when they discover challenges within the network. So, yes, like read it and didn't like fully process what I just read. But yes, the physical act of wiring servers and computers, which, I mean, really, when they're saying this, what I'm thinking is, and it's probably just what they mean, they're summarizing it. You have network closets or data centers or both, and let's just focus on the network closet. So you have switches in there, and you're gonna have routers at some point somewhere. I mean, maybe not even in the building. Maybe it's all just switches. Is that possible? I think so. I mean, definitely if it's small enough, yeah, it's possible. And you're going to have to power those systems, those networking systems, and then you're going to connect from, let's say it's an office. Let's say it's a 3-story building, and you have maybe a network closet on each floor, and then you have offices on each of those floors. And then there's going to be wall ports, so you see your power outlets, and then maybe next to them there are wall ports for data. So RJ45 jacks. You plug in your cable to your computer, and then you're connected, and then that's going to go into the network closet, and then you can from there you'll see a number that shows like, okay, this is the wall port. It is patch panel, and then you take that and okay, I'm frozen again, so I can't show you with my hands, but then you plug that into the switch. So let's see patch panel. Let's just look at some examples of patch panels, and I just want an image. Okay, that's a nice, very nice, clean. Okay, here's so you'd plug it into something like this, however it's going to be labeled. Now, these are just the numbers, but like this, you'd write something, put it in there to label it specifically for that area. And then on the back, yeah, so it'll look like this. This is going to be what's going to the wall. So it's going to come out. I really want to have both pictures up, but this is the front, and then this is the back going to the wall ports. And then you would take, like in these pictures here, actually, is that what we're seeing in this? No, okay, this is the back as well. So that's the back of a patch panel. But you'd plug that into the switch. Is this an example of, yes. Okay, so patch panel up here on the top, and then switch. And that's, it might not look exactly like this, but that's what you're going to be having going on when you're doing that. That's what I'm thinking of when they say this, and then obviously you might connect to the computer directly. I wouldn't really consider this part systems administration, as it could be. I mean, systems administration is all systems administration, but usually that's more like a desktop support technician kind of role right here. And then performing routine diagnostics and assessments. Now, a lot of this is automated, but it's good to know how to get in there and at least like a read of logs. Like Event Viewer is a great logging system, and then sometimes there's specific logs in certain directories, and you can find all of that in manuals for one, but a lot of times it might even tell you the directory that it's logging stuff in. Like for instance, this might, if we look in here, is there anything that says logging? Wow. I can't think of something off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there's a logging service that might not be default turned on for this, but you could turn it on and then it would put it to a certain directory, or you could just point it to whatever directory suits your needs, and then you can go later and parse through that data. And so that's kind of, performing the diagnostic assessment. One example at least. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about this, coding and scripting. Coding, maybe not as much, but I think it's great to know. I think it enhances your ability to script if you understand the fundamentals of coding, because they are quite similar in a lot of ways. And my cats are having a little fight. But yeah, so okay, let's just read this. A systems administrator has an in-depth understanding of computer programming and coding languages. I mean, I think that's a little bit of an overstatement, because being a programmer is a job in itself. Just like with security and just like with networking, these are big jobs for now. I mean, automation continues to close the gaps on these AI, especially now, but still, they are they're on silos. They're specialized things, so you can't just if you're going to be a programmer, at least for now, I'm sure you're probably just going to want to do coding because you can make a lot of money. Not that you can't as a systems administrator, but anyways, I wouldn't really say that that's necessarily true, but it's good to have a good, well-rounded understanding of that. Scripting, I definitely think is a must as a systems administrator. Otherwise, you're going to be slow as a snail. In a lot of cases, I mean, it's not necessary, absolutely, but I think it helps a lot. But scripting and coding allows a systems administrator to perform essential debugging when challenges arise on a network. A systems administrator may also use coding skills to create scripts. So a little bit of a misnomer. Making daily operations more efficient by automating processes. I mean, I guess you could say that you're coding a script, but colloquially, when I hear the word coding, I think of programming like C, C#, Java, JavaScript, Python, blanking Go, Lang, just different things. Those are programming languages where you can build out. I mean, Python is kind of in between because it uses interpretation instead of compilation. It doesn't compile code and create a binary in the same way. So it's different, but still, I think there's a little bit of a difference. But it's the fundamentals are still there. Like knowing what a variable is, knowing what functions are, how they work, how to put them together, calling functions, all that, same. Scripting, programming language, same deal, really. I mean, there's minor differences, syntactic differences for sure, but basically the same. SQL, so yeah, structured query language. I always forget this simple little acronym, but is a database management tool, language, and sorry, I'm getting distracted by my cat playing with the curtain over here. A language and a vital technical skill for a systems administrator. Understanding SQL allows a systems administrator to maintain the company's essential databases. They can also provide help or delegate support to staff members when they encounter challenges accessing the company database. This is true. I've had my fair share of experiences with this. Not as much as I should, or at least I'd like to, but but I've had some, and mostly just standing up SQL servers for people to do their engineering on, and manage those things. But it's good to understand them, to understand how to stand them up. I think it's something that it's high time that I stand my own up for my own purposes and just try to make a database for something, maybe even like a little JavaScript website, whatever. I don't know what I'd connect it to necessarily, but something like that, some type of project to have the whole full stack deal going on. And I mean, if you want to be a computer engineer or like a software engineer, I mean, knowing SQL I think is pretty important. Although that could be changing too, especially with, I know I keep harping on this, but GPT, and it's getting really powerful with Copilot for Microsoft, and just I'm sure everything else is moving in that direction as well. SQL, great stuff to know. I don't have an example of that right now. I'll try to do one of those sometime. Now, sorry, picking up sticks, looking at wow, 85 minutes. Well, we're wrapping up. We're getting there. Right. So, troubleshooting, like we've been going through since the beginning of this, when I was having trouble getting this chat stuff going on, like all of that, every step of it, not being ashamed of knowledge gaps. I mean, I'm going to say this again, but you're not going to know everything. You can't know everything. It's impossible for a human to know everything. At least, I mean, I would even say if you lived forever, it would be impossible because there's always new things to learn, even in a natural world. So the learning never ends. The learning is just continuous. So being humble is important. Troubleshooting involves moving through challenges that may be causing an issue to identify the bug. When troubleshooting, a systems administrator performs tests to check that elements within the network are functioning and uses any failures to shorten the potential list of causes of the broader challenge. Yes, that is, troubleshooting in a nutshell, in one way to put it. Best rule of thumb is, try to narrow it down in the simplest way. So, can't connect to the internet. Okay, like, is it showing up? Okay, I'm in the way here. Well, it doesn't even matter because my face is messed up there. Okay, I can't see the full screen, so you can't see it. Let me see if I can change that that view. Can I move it over enough that you can see it? Oh, it's okay. Well, I can do that. That's fine. So see this right here? No, you can't see it. But there. So if you see the little globe with the X on it, good bet that you're not. Here we go. Put that back. Connected. I should make this smaller. I wonder if you guys were like missing some of the stuff that I feel like the update like kind of screwed me a bit. I need to like reconfigure some of the size stuff. That's too bad. Well, I'll just put this back and I'll look at that later. But hey, there's some troubleshooting live again, right, for you. So, keeping it simple. Oh, the cable's not plugged in and doesn't have a Wi-Fi card, or what, running out of steam here. But troubleshooting, keeping it basic, keeping it simple is the most important part, and doing things that aren't going to take down the whole system unless you have to. And it kind of says it pretty well without saying it directly, but like perform tests to check. So like if you can do something else to see that's not going to affect people, I mean, unless the whole thing is totally down, but do that first, right? Do the things that are going to have the least impact and will be done as quickly, the quickest when you're troubleshooting. For the most part, I mean, if you really just know what it is and you have high confidence, then just get it done. Like maybe there's an error message you've seen in a certain situation, you know exactly what it is, or it's documented in a good KB, in a good knowledge base. Go ahead and do that. Efficient troubleshooting skills may include technical problem solving, in-depth knowledge of the system, and common errors and creative thinking to try new tests or solutions. Very important, creative thinking. Always be open to new ways of looking at a situation and accept new situations, because there's always going to be new situations. Always. So leadership. A systems administrator is commonly a mid-level or senior level position, so it's vital to lead others and maximize employees' talents. Strong leadership makes it easier to implement new policies with network devices. Yes, systems administrators can help teach staff members how to use their devices and access network files. This is very true. I have had so many people mentor me over the years, in my career, and I think it's also important to let anybody mentor you. I mean, if they have good knowledge, they know what they're talking about, and it's helpful, and they're, and take the mentorship. Keep it humble. But yes, it is commonly mid to senior level position, and knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the team is important. It's strong leadership, right? Not like the only thing that matters. All the other technical stuff I think is far more important than having strong leadership. But you should have decent enough communication skills to not be a dick and to be able to actually. Bottom line, get the work done. And a lot of times that means leaning on other people who know how to get it done. And so whatever it takes to get things working, keep them working, make them more efficient. That's what matters in leadership, in life, in systems administration. Decision making, yes, very important. For many companies, the network system is vital to daily operations, and disruptions to the network can have significant impact. When faced with altering a network function in a high-pressure setting, a systems administrator can assess the situation, identify potential solutions, and decide on the option that provides the right results for the company. You know what's funny? I'm gonna try something. Let me see if that changes the result there. So yeah, it is vital to be able to make good decisions under pressure, and sometimes you're gonna make bad decisions, and you're just gonna have to live with those consequences and move forward. And if you can roll it back, roll it back. If you can't, then have a plan or just persevere and get it done. Because a lot of IT, just with any other job, it's about grit. You have to have grit. You have to kind of soldier through, because things are not always going to work out. And having the calm, the fortitude to deal with that situation. Sometimes it's going to be people that are just unsatisfied with you, and they'll put that on you, and you just have to accept that that's happening. You don't have to accept their criticism necessarily, although it's important to be able to accept criticism. But someone's just being a dick, you have to accept that that's the situation and still get the job done. Not crack under the pressure, and then maybe do something later to help alleviate your stress. Hang out with people that you care about. Do something fun, whatever. Having the ability to decide quickly may reduce the amount of disruption an organization experiences in its workflow. And having the ability to decide quickly, in my opinion, often means having really good knowledge bases, having places where you can find the data you need to fix whatever the issue is. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to address the issue. You have to think of a whole new issue on your own. It's like it's a ridiculous thing to expect all the time. So documentation kind of goes along with that. If you find something, find a way to do something, figure out something, write it down, take good notes. Hopefully there's a ticketing system, and so you don't have to maybe actively take notes because you're taking them in the ticket. Then review the ticket after the work's complete, and then chunk it out into something that's readable for you and others in the future, so that moving forward the issue can just be resolved quicker by reading the documentation and following it. Communication. Clear communication with others, verbal and non-verbal, is fundamental, because systems administrators are interacting with technical and non-technical employees across departments to provide directions, technical support, and written reports. For example, it's essential to communicate with non-technical specialists experiencing challenges with network access in a way they find easy to understand. I think this is so important, because we'll just start with this. Like, you do have to be able to communicate with people, and you can't use a bunch of technical jargon, and you can't just say it's like magic. Obviously you don't have to go through every step, but being able to say the specific parts that affect the person and how it affects them is really important. And then when you can explain that to them, they can figure out how to deal with those situations, know who to communicate with in those situations, and it just makes it easier for everybody. And if you can't simplify things, at least to the extent that people need to know the information, then you might not know the information as well as you think. And it's not like something you should feel embarrassed about. It's just an opportunity to get better at that thing. However you're going to do that. By studying, by practicing, by doing labs, by talking to people, getting mentored, taking opportunities to learn more. This is also critical when relaying technical information to a team member who isn't familiar with complex technology. Okay, so then there's the how to gain experience, and how long have I been doing this? Just how to gain experience. So we've been going for 96 minutes. Okay, so an hour and 40 minutes nearly. An hour and 37 minutes. Well, we might as well finish this out. I'll try not to go off on too many just wanderings and ponderings. Although that is kind of what my intention for this whole thing is. So perhaps I'll do that a little bit and just not care too much. And at some point, maybe I'll try to troubleshoot this camera issue and see if we can just keep it going. Because I like being able to gesture sometimes to demonstrate stuff. I think it kind of just makes it a little bit more human. But maybe you guys just want to see the article and listen to me talk. I don't know. Let me know. So, how to gain systems administrator skills. An effective way to enhance your career prospects as a systems administrator is to develop your skills. Improving your systems administrator skills can help you differentiate yourself from others when applying for a job. Here are 4 ways to improve your systems administrator abilities. Sounds magical. Okay. So, study coding. Wow. Okay. Brain fog here. Study coding and networking. Yeah. That's important. Again, I think like for systems administration, yeah, you should study coding because it helps you get there's a lot of great coding resources out there. Maybe not as much as there, or more than there are scripting resources in some respect. So, studying coding with a mind to use that for scripting, I think is good. Coding on its own as a systems administrator, is fun, and can help you automate stuff. Okay, that's not entirely true. Like, maybe you want to make a RAT, a remote access tool, because the company doesn't have one, and there's not any developers on the team, and they're not going to put out money for it. I was working on one. I need to get back to that. But remote access tools are a great way to have certain insights into computers. It's a monitoring software, and it's a hacker tool too. Like you can. Sorry, I'm moving this laptop around, trying to make sure everything's good. You can use a RAT to if you use a Trojan to put a RAT or an agent that allows a RAT to have access. It's funny saying it like that. A remote access tool, or a remote administration tool to have access to an endpoint, then you've kind of pwned it, depending on the level of access that it can obtain. But maybe you want to build some tool like that, not for malicious purposes, but something to more easily manage endpoints that you have. One of my previous roles, there was a in-house built tool. It was pretty cool. I actually started building my own just because I was inspired to do it with Java, but I didn't finish it, and then I forgot to take the source code and save it with me, and now it's gone forever, I'm pretty sure. But I'll just start again. And it just allowed you to access. You could just do certain commands remotely, which was really just useful. Anyways, so actually coding, programming, building small little services and programs can be very useful. And not just doing scripting. And sometimes I consider Python as scripting because it kind of is, but it's also kind of a programming language. And so I've done stuff with Python, but I just consider it scripts because I didn't build a program. I didn't build like a UI necessarily. I built a little script that does something. Maybe it's like 10 to 50 lines, probably not that many, but that does some service for me that makes it easier. But yeah, coding, good practice, network maintenance and database management. So if you can get even a dumb switch, or if you can get an old smart switch and wipe it and just start consoling into it and messing around with it, great way to practice. I have some under my bed that I need to make use of because I haven't. I got one from old employer because it was deprecated, and I got another from a buddy who got it from his employment. Probably the same deal. Oh yeah, and database management. So I mean, those skills are definitely really good to have. I would say also just like server configuration and maintenance, and even troubleshooting, like breaking stuff for sure. If you can create a lab environment, like I said, this computer right here I bought for $50, $50 to $70, and I can just break it and build it back up and break it, build it back up, and that's what I intend to do. I've already done it, built it up once from scratch, and there's a lot of budget things you can do to just get those skills up. And yeah, you can do this too. Online, enroll in on a local college or online courses, certification to learn about your existing skills, and other abilities to develop and enhance your workflow. Some certificates. I mean, okay, this is great. I think it's great to get certified and stuff. But honestly, if you haven't been in this at all, before you do it, I mean, see if you're interested in it. Like, listen to other people and what they say about doing it. Going on doing this work, watch videos, but I think most of all, just do the work. Because assuming you've been in the workforce for a while, you already know what it's like to deal with people, people that you're providing a service for, and then the people that are employing you. And that's the whole thing. So if you already got that handled, then know that you like the job. And I mean, maybe you're just decided, and that's fine. But you don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on classes and stuff. It's great to do, but just mess around with stuff. Watch YouTube videos, read Stack Overflow, other articles, Quora, Reddit, any forum. I mean, it doesn't have to be those. There's so many that aren't like these big, well-known, established forums, and the official sites for certain like small little programs. Go to GitHub pages and other online version control code base, or where code bases are stored and such, and read through the documentation that they have too. And then there's places for comments sometimes, and people have already commented, so you can usually just read what they said, interact with them. If you get stuck and you really can't find the information, and ChatGPT can't find it for you, ChatGPT can't find it for you, then go ahead and wow, what am I saying? Experiment. Oh yeah, go ahead and go on Stack Overflow and comment and ask the question to Stack Overflow. There's people out there, sometimes maybe they'll be a little harsh, but like, who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? Just go out there, ask the question. Someone might answer the question. I've had some good answers out there for questions I've asked, and it's been helpful, and it's a learning experience. It can only improve your career and your comfort with doing this stuff, because that is the work. I mean, bottom line, just do the work. Do the work in a lab environment. Great, and you'll do. And once you feel a little bit more confident, go ahead and take some classes. Get a Udemy. I just keep getting distracted. I do that a lot, but go to Udemy or Professor Messer. Buy a class like that, something that doesn't cost too much, after you've done the lab work yourself and feel confident enough in that. Okay, did I just freeze? I think I just froze. I'm like trying to troubleshoot something. It's not that important. I need to work on the ums, huh? I say that a lot, but that's fine. Okay, so okay, yes, huh? Well, that's fine. We know that that's how stuff goes. I mean, that's how else do people make money, right? Uh, Gain practical experience. Okay, this is what I was harping on the whole time. So maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut and let them tell all about that. But whatever, it's all good. So yeah, like gain practical experience. Starting in an entry level tech job is beneficial. Yes, it is. That's where I started. I learned a lot just by being open minded. And again, I keep saying this. I mean, I'm not the most humble person, but it's good to be humble. You should be humble, not because like it makes you a better person, but because you miss so many opportunities if you're not just listening. What is it? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you can hear twice as much. That's I think that's Seneca the Younger, but like it's true. Just listen more, and be open to those opportunities. Start entry level. I mean, if you're like older and you don't want to do that, I get that. But I started in tech when I was like 25? No, 27, I think. Whatever. But like, I mean, you can start. I mean, even later than that, it doesn't really matter. If you're passionate about it, then you'll excel quickly. You just have to put your best foot forward and figure out what it is that you like in tech, because there's a lot of different things in tech, and it's always changing and evolving. Yeah, because you're always applying your knowledge under supervision, and you're getting paid of an industry expert, which is, I mean, it's great. It's like getting paid for a mentorship program. It's getting paid. It's like a, oh my God, what are those things called? I want to say tutelage, but it's not. It's like if you're a blacksmith, a journeyman, whatever that is. Like you start from, we'll just call it mentorship because the word is escaping me. When you have a supervisor working with you, you can earn feedback to help improve your abilities. By working in a job where you maintain and repair a company's network and electronic devices, you gain experience for your resume and develop the skills to perform well in the role. This is so true. And again, I think that if you have the time, you should also just and like a little bit of scratch, like I said, like $70, maybe $50 for an old computer. Do your own lab work. Don't just pay for classes. Actually build servers out and networks and script stuff and code stuff and just mess around with it and see, build a website, whatever. See how you like it, see what you can do. And then network with people and then work on projects together with them. Create your own projects. I wonder if that's why I said it, because like my eye saw it. Understanding and using coding languages is a crucial skill as a systems administrator and influences many of the skills a prospective employer looks for, making it essential to develop. Creating your own recreational coding projects in your free time allows you to strengthen your skills. It can also provide opportunities to learn new ways of problem solving and build your proficiency in coding languages. Yes. Very true. Additionally, there are various sites online where you can connect with specialists in your industry and gain coding project ideas from them. Gain. I would say get, but okay. Then you can post your projects on the site for others to view and receive feedback. And that's very true. It's if you take a class or there's also what is it? Meetup.com. Like you can find places in your area where you can meet up with people or just remotely meet with them and learn and discuss and do projects together. And that's a super good way. Like it doesn't have to be anything major. You could have just have like a UI that just is a drop down that goes from yes to no. And then the next one could be, instead of a UI that has a drop down that's yes to no, it could be a button that you click it and change it from yes to no, right? It goes back and forth. and just have different variations of that just to get comfortable with using different or building out different UIs and maybe placing the button or the drop down or whatever in different places on the UI. I mean, all these things. I mean, yeah, and there's templates for this, especially if you're using JavaScript, and now with ChatGPT, template type, like creating the dev part of it or the design part is really easy, and other parts too. But I haven't actually experimented too much with that, so I'm not entirely sure, but I've seen some pretty impressive stuff. So look for industry innovation. Yeah, I think that's so important. Always consume podcasts, YouTube videos, articles, blogs, listen to people, talk to people, experiment, lab it out. Consuming industry media, such as online publications or technical journals, like RFCs, request for comments. This goes all the way back to, and I put this book down here just to talk about, well, not RFCs specifically, but Where Wizards Stay Up Late, The Origins of the Internet. I think this is a fantastic read. You should check it out. A colleague of mine years ago suggested it, and I'm so glad he did, because I don't know if I would have come across it. No one else has mentioned it to me besides this guy. Shout out to him. Shout out to Jim. But it's a really interesting book. Just goes over how DARPA started ARPANET and how that evolved into modern TCP/IP internet working, the internet, the web, the interwebs, whatever, interzones. Excuse me. Fascinating thing. So there's, historical stuff, current stuff especially, obviously, or technical journals, and monitoring trends is a helpful way to identify productive tools and procedures to implement. Oh yeah, and so CISA has stuff. CISA.gov, is it? CISA.gov? I want to say I'm trying to make sure. I'm pretty sure it's taking a sec. But they have, stuff that you can read, keep current with cyber threats and all that stuff. Which even as a sysadmin is important. Learning how to use these tools and processes before they're widespread can help you market yourself to employers seeking innovative individuals. Yeah, that's true. But if you're industrious, if you have grit, that's pretty much enough. Just put in the work. You can apply also your new skills and implement procedures to help a company accomplish its goals and gain a competitive advantage. Wow, this is. I also just went on and on and on, so it just seems like I've been reading this for forever. But it's okay. Let's marathon this. We're almost done. Systems administrator skills in the workplace. Here are a few examples of how you may use these skills in your role. Communicate with network users. Okay. I would say that everyone is a network user at this point, unless it's air-gapped, but it might even still be in an air-gapped network. Whatever. You may use your communication skills as the first point of contact when users have challenges using the network. Okay. I guess I kind of see what they're saying. Like the LAN, maybe. Well, it doesn't have to be the LAN. In addition to using your communication skills to explain how they can solve the issue, use your troubleshooting skills to help them rectify the issue. Yes. Providing users with remote access. Using your cloud computing skills, you can... Okay. Maybe I was reading that the way I thought I was up there when they were saying this, but I'm just going to read this out. You can help remote employees gain access to files and other documents. It's just tripping me up because when they're saying it like that, it seems like they're talking about on-prem, but they're not. I'm pretty sure they're talking about things like SharePoint, documents and files, probably, and there's other ways. They have Dropbox, that's cloud computing. It's a server that's accessible through the internet. Cloud computing. They're required to complete their tasks. You may also help hybrid employees access their office computers from their remote setup. Now that's not cloud. But okay, this is just remote access. That's like a VPN. I can't really think of another way that they do that other than VPN. Like proxying maybe, but I don't know that much about proxying, but I should. Purchasing, installing new computer software. You can use your decision-making skills to decide which computer software to purchase for the company while staying within budget. After installing it, your leadership skills to help guide other employees on using the new software efficiently. Yes, that's super important. I mean, it is. I'm just like, I'm running out of steam, and we're almost at the end of this. Ensuring a secure environment as a system administrator. You usually deploy security updates to company servers. Wow, I can't read anymore. And employee machines. This helps ensure that the company can work in a secure environment, protect against unauthorized users, and troubleshoot security challenges. Yep. Kind of went over that already. How to highlight systems administrator skills. So here's how to highlight them. Systems administrator skills for resume. On your resume, find areas to highlight your skills and responsibilities, matching the job listing. Okay, your resume is an opportunity to. This is kind of, well, okay, we'll just go over it too. Your resume is an opportunity to discuss relevant systems administrator abilities. Okay, I'm just not going to go over the redundant stuff. Let's just go over the actual, like, did they even say anything that was, like, information here? Okay. I mean, it's not specific enough for it to be, there's, like, no context. Like, what relevant, I guess they already kind of said it, matching. Like, they could probably just have stopped it right here. Like, just highlight skills that highlight stuff that you've done that matches the job listing. I think period. That's fine right there. Yeah, and then you can do that. I'm not, I've never been a hiring manager, so maybe there's like some magic here that I'm not getting. But whatever. Systems administrator skills for a cover letter. Your cover letter is an opportunity. Okay, so they're telling you it's an opportunity to communicate. Let that beautiful personality shine through. In the letter's body, consider sharing a story about when you used your skills. Yeah, I think that's great. Like, storytelling is fantastic. It really helps immerse whoever's reading. In this case, the cover letter. To be there, present in the moment, and then contextualizes it so they're like, oh, okay, this is how this was used, and I get it. Systems administrator skills for an interview. So when you're interviewing, you may be asked questions, of course, to discuss your skills. Yeah, so like that's why it's important to actually do this work so that you do know what you're doing, because obviously you're going to be working there if you get hired. And reinforce them by explaining your previous experience, which I kind of said there, they're reiterating, and share specific examples. Yeah. And I would say get to the point where you don't need like one specific example. Like, yeah, sure, write stuff down. Maybe you need to lean on that more. But just be comfortable with shooting off stuff because you just have done it. You understand it well enough that you can navigate it to that point. Well, that does it. This is a good article, I'd say. Good job, Indeed. Indeed.com, everybody. Sponsor me? No, I'm kidding. First article I've ever read of theirs. Okay, well, with that, I hope that you guys all have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for listening. And feedback in the comments. Peace out.